This past year, I've learned how to make about 50 different meals, and I've been eating at home majority of the time. If you're new here, you might be thinking, girl, that's not that impressive. But for those who know my story, you know how big of a deal this is for me. If you're new here, hi, my name is Rose. And about 2 years ago, I was buying takeout at least twice a day, making an already bad financial situation worse because I didn't know how to cook. In fact, I was terrified to be in the kitchen altogether. I didn't want to be there. By the end of this video, you will know how to get ahead of 99% of beginners in the kitchen because I'm going to address the 3 biggest mistakes most beginners make. I'll also share with you 5 game-changing tips that will help you go from clueless to confident in your kitchen. By the way, if you want my 1-page checklist on how to overcome your fear of the kitchen and build confidence, you can download it for free using the first link in the description box below. Alright, let's get into the 3 biggest mistakes most beginners make. Mistake number 1, not tasting your food as you're seasoning and cooking it. If you think you're gonna blindly season your food and wait till it's on the table to taste it and expect that it's gonna turn out delicious, you might get lucky. But majority of the time, it's not going to taste as good as you think it will. You want to adjust along the way. And how do you know what to adjust? You have to taste what you have and see what adjustments you need to make. That's why you don't start a long-term project and not check on it from time to time, because you don't want to do all that work just for it to turn horrible at the end. Just for it to not work out. The more you taste your food as you're cooking it, the more you'll recognize patterns, the more you'll get more used to your own taste, and you'll start recognizing what's missing to make the food taste better. That's how you build real confidence. And I don't know about you, but when I first started cooking, other people would taste it and tell me that it's good, but I would still have that doubt in the back of my head telling me, yeah, but it doesn't really taste that good. That kind of mindset was holding me back because I thought everything I made tasted horribly, because I come from a family where both men and women know how to cook very well. I also come from a culture where the food tastes amazing. So the expectation bar was already high up there. Just make sure you taste as you're cooking. Okay? Because you don't want to spend hours making a meal, having fun with it, just for you to not be able to eat it at the end. Mistake number 2, not prepping the ingredients before turning on the stove. Have you ever been in that situation where you put your frying pan and you put some oil, turn on the stove, and the thing that you're supposed to be frying is not even ready yet? So you're racing against the fire to have everything ready so you can actually fry it, and then you end up having to turn off the stove altogether because you're not ready. Anyone else been there? Just me? Okay. Even if you don't have everything chopped or cut or even washed, just at least make sure you have all the ingredients you need. I don't know, take them out the fridge, put them on the counter. If you don't have a lot of space, get creative. Put them on the table and just put them somewhere you can reach them easily, somewhere you can see them so you know, okay, I have this. Because imagine you start cooking and you're in the middle of it, stove's hot, your food's cooking, and you go look for that one ingredient that you absolutely need, but you can't find it because you didn't check that you had it in the first place. That's why I always talk about meal planning, which is different from meal prepping. Meal planning is when you sit down, you write down everything you want to cook for the week, and then you make a grocery list out of that. Meal prepping, on the other hand, is the act of cooking the meals. I'll link my one-page weekly meal planner in the description box below. It also has a grocery list on the side where you can write down your grocery items. So you can check it out in the description box below. It's free to download and I think it will help you out. Mistake number 3, completely relying on recipes to learn how to cook. That's something I've talked about in my why you shouldn't completely rely on recipes to learn how to cook video. Because, again, recipes are awesome. I'm grateful that we have them because someone took the time to put them together. However, I always say, the person that created the recipe, they have their own taste, they have their own health conditions, they have their own living situation. You're not that person. You're your own self. Blindly following instructions doesn't make you a good cook. It makes you a good follower. It shows that you can comprehend and process, but you're also hindering your creativity. You're also preventing yourself from experimenting and discovering other things. How confident would you be if you were able to cook without having to follow a recipe word for word? People in my family don't use recipes to cook. Granted, we're from a very traditional country, so recipes were just passed down, like directly in the kitchen. They would teach you. It wasn't necessarily a recipe book, although we do have them. Sometimes people take the time to write them. However, that's not how majority of people learn how to cook. And they're great at it. And again, I don't want you guys to think me saying that means recipes are horrible and that you shouldn't use them. That is not what I'm saying. Use recipes, but use them wisely. You could have the best recipes in the world. If you're not putting in the effort yourself, you're never gonna learn how to cook. How cool would it be to just freestyle in the kitchen, knowing exactly what you're doing? It's great to ask for help. It's great to have resources. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to make the progress that you want to see. Speaking of help, I put together an ebook, which is a step-by-step series of checklists that show you how to go from a clueless beginner to confidently starting to learn how to make your own meals at home in just 4 weeks. Comment below, give me the guide, and I'll send you a link where you can download it for free. All right, now let's get into the 5 game-changing tips that every beginner can use to see progress in the kitchen. Number 1, get familiar with your utensils and appliances. There's nothing worse than being in the kitchen ready to make a meal and you either don't know where your utensils are or you don't know how to use your appliances. That's why in my first video, which every time I look back to it, I cringe so hard. That's why I talk about 5 things you can do to get over your fear of the kitchen and get comfortable with it before you even make your first meal. That includes spending time in the kitchen, not with the goal of making a meal, but just to get to know your surrounding and get to know where things are. You can rearrange it, make it fit whatever aesthetic you're going for, but it's really important to know where your stuff are, because when you're in the heat of the moment, you're gonna be reaching for things and you need to know where things are. Otherwise, you start getting upset, you start getting mad, everything starts tasting horrible, and you want to give up. I'm having flashbacks. Anyways, if you want to avoid feeling stressed and overwhelmed in the kitchen, knowing where your things are and knowing how your appliances work will save you a lot of time and energy. And Don't get me wrong, you might still get upset about things, but it won't be because you can't find your utensils or because you don't know which button to press on your stove to make it work. Okay? Number 2, keep recipes simple, or start with simple recipes. When you're first learning how to make your own meals at home, it's better to start with simple meals that don't take forever to make, that don't take a million ingredients, than complicated ones that are gonna make you feel like a failure from the start. Some examples: pasta, chicken's pretty easy to cook, rice is pretty easy. Tricky because it could be too hard or it can be too crunchy or too mushy, but relatively easy, I would say. Eggs, and the list goes on. There are a lot of things that are pretty simple to cook, and it's easier to start with them because they're not only easy to cook, but also they can be a really good base for when you're increasing the difficulty of your meals. For example, if you learn how to make white rice in your beginner stage, then slowly you can learn how to make rice and beans. You can learn how to make rice and mixed vegetables. You can learn how to make rice and this and rice and that because you have the base. Just remember, start with simple ones because you will see some wins quicker. Therefore, it will boost your confidence. You're gonna want to do more because you're gonna see the progress, you're gonna see the wins, and you're just gonna want to keep going because it will give you some momentum. Tip number 3, clean as you cook. If you meal prep, you know this is a life-changing tip. You don't want to finish cooking and have a mess waiting for you afterwards. Imagine spending 3 to 4 hours cooking and then you have a pile of dishes waiting for you. When I'm done meal prepping, I just want to go lay down somewhere, take a nap, go for a walk maybe. Don't want to be washing dishes. And you might be thinking, you can just use your dishwasher. Well, not everybody has one. And even if you do have one, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you don't want to use it. I don't know. People have different circumstances. If you have a dishwasher and you want to use it, by all means, use it. But I'm talking about people that don't have access to that or don't necessarily want to use that and just make the process easier in the first place. And even if you have a dishwasher, you can put things away as you're cooking. That also counts as cleaning as you cook. The whole point is to tidy up your space while you're cooking. It's also removing trash, not just dirty dishes. Whatever tidying up your space means to you, just do that. Now, if you're serious about learning how to cook your own meals in the next 3 months and want to work with me directly, click the link in the pinned comment below to book a call. On this call, we'll identify the main reasons why you're anxious about getting started or not where you want to be. We'll create a step-by-step roadmap to help you get over your obstacles, and we'll discuss the exact steps you need to take to cook your own meals at home within the next 3 months. Again, the link will be in the pinned comment below. All right, back to the game-changing tips. Tip number 4, master your knife skills. I have an upcoming video where I talk about different cooking terms that were so confusing to me when I first started, and that includes mastering your knife skills because there are so many things you can do with a knife. You can chop food, you can dice, you can mince, you can so many things. There are so many ways you can cut your food. You can dice in onions, you can mince garlic, you can chop banana, I don't know. It's really important to master your knife skills and know how to cut certain things and how to prevent injuries and just really how to use a knife while being safe, because we're not trying to cut our fingers. Knowing, oh, if I want a certain result, how do I cut this? If I want to achieve a certain cut, how do I hold my knife? Like, how do I go about it? Let me know what would be the best way to present that video to you, so it could be, I want it to be as helpful as possible. And I know that that part of the kitchen where you're using sharp utensils, you're using heat, that's what's holding a lot of people back from learning in the first place. So let me know what would be the best way to make that video for you guys, because at the end of the day, I just want to help. Tip number 5, develop a simple seasoning routine. If you watch my previous videos, I always use the same seasonings in my food, the same process really. Typically wash the ingredients, I add some salt, vinegar, lime juice or lemon juice, and I use black pepper, garlic powder, red pepper flakes, thyme. Sometimes I'll use turmeric depending on what I'm cooking. Lately I've been using dry parsley. I also have like jerk seasoning. I have Cajun seasoning for when I want jerk chicken or when I'm making seafood. The Cajun's very handy. I think it adds a nice touch to it. I have bay leaves. Some of the seasonings that I have, I always use them. So they're my base seasoning routine. Vinegar, lime juice, salt. These 3 I always use. Always. Then you have black pepper, garlic powder, some people use onion powder. Whatever your favorite seasonings are and that go with most of the food that you're making, make that your base seasoning routine. I don't care if you have to write it down to follow it. Over time, your brain will get used to it and you won't even think twice about it. You'll just do it. That will not only save you time, but it will also make sure that your food is consistent. And over time, it will just taste better and better and better. When you add something new, take note of it, see what difference it makes. Don't try to add a bunch of new stuff at once, because there will be a difference and you won't know what exactly made the difference. So if you're ready to start your cooking journey, despite being scared or overwhelmed or anxious about it, first of all, I'm really proud of you for taking that first step. Just by saying, okay, I've decided I want to learn. Okay, let's have a round of applause for you. Don't forget to check all the resources I mentioned. They will be in the description box below. But in the meantime, you can watch this playlist right here where I walk you through the basic things you need, both in terms of tools and mindset, to kickstart your cooking journey. See you there. Bye for now.